prosecuted as they get ready to go to trial with the Ervin administration tomorrow. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Leah Hankins, who will be emceeing it, and who is the person that first thought this rally up. Leah?
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm super nervous. I don't talk in front of people, so just if I mess up, ignore me. This rally was kind of my brainchild. We are in danger of losing our last abortion clinic in the state, which is a terrible step back for women. And people looking at me. I reached out to a woman that I had looked up to for a really long time to see if she had anything to say, any words she could give me for this, because I am not good with them on my own. The woman's name is Gloria Steinem. And so she emailed me back, actually. And before I speak, I just wanted to read what she had to say, if that's okay. Bear with me just a second. All right. So Gloria writes, "Dear Leah and friends in Kentucky, there is nothing but nothing more important than what you are doing today. The power of government stops and democracy begins with our right to make decisions over our own bodies. Hierarchy begins with controlling reproduction, and we are the canaries in the mine. For instance, the day after Hitler was elected in Germany, family planning clinics were padlocked and abortion was declared a crime against the state. Aryan women were supposed to have as many children as possible, while the Jews and the Gypsies were sterilized. Anybody who believes that abortion should be outlawed must remember that a government that can compel birth is also a government that can prevent it. When Fannie Lou Hamer and many other black women were being sterilized without their permission in hospitals, white women needed 2 to 4 children and their husbands' written permission to have a tubal ligation. Racism and sexism are intertwined and can only be uprooted together. In standing up for reproductive freedom, you are standing up for what most Americans and most people in the world believe, that people and not governments should decide whether and when we have children.
Right.
And when women are allowed to decide, population levels off at about replacement level. It is the biggest determinant of whether we are healthy or not, educated or not, self-actualized or not, and how long we live. The human race is a bird with 2 wings. If one of us is broken, none of us can fly. That's what she had to say. And I guess all that I want to add to that is that this rally is not the extent of our activism. This is a starting point. You know, everybody that's here today is here because they believe in 2 things. You believe in a person's right to choose what is best for their body and for their life. And you believe in the power of our voices. It's absurd that our bodies should be a battleground for political or judicial discourse. But here we are. And we need to take this day, this opportunity, as a moment to say, you haven't heard the last of us. Regardless of how the case goes, we all need to continue fighting until it's a fight we don't have to fight anymore. Alright, so Carol has been a huge help. I reached out to her when I had this idea, and I was lucky enough that she was one of the ones that said, yes, let's do this. And so she is a chair of KRCRC, which is a Kentucky Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. Alright. And that was loud. Her organization is a co-sponsor of this rally, which I said.
Alright. Thank you, Leah. In January 1973, I was a junior in high school when Roe v. Wade was made abortion legal in America. And I was oblivious, due, I'm sure, in large part to my white privilege. I didn't know anyone who had needed an abortion until much later in life. Today's young people likely may know someone who's had an abortion, but abortion has been legal for their whole entire lives. And for many, abortion access is just as much a non-issue as it was for me in high school. But fortunately, Some of our young people are waking up to just how close we are to losing that taken for granted access to legal abortion. And many of you young people are here tonight because you do know, and you know that we may be on the brink of having no place in Kentucky where this safe procedure, so important to control of our own lives, can be obtained. You haven't known those bad old days when getting an abortion meant doing it illegally and often unsafely, but you've heard about them, and you don't want to go back. Leah Hankins, come here, Leah. Leah is 23. She is a mother. She is from Ashland, Kentucky. And Leah is the spark that lit tonight's rally. Leah, I am so grateful to you and to your peers who are stepping up to continue this fight that we had thought we'd be through with by now. My generation, those of us who have earned our gray hairs, will be standing side by side with you in this fight. It took several generations of women to see through the fight for women to get the vote. And it's looking like this fight for us to control our reproductive lives will be one that will also continue for some time, unfortunately. Our governor and our legislators claim to be acting for the safety of Kentucky women. In requiring abortion clinics to have transfer agreements with hospitals and ambulance services. We know just how unnecessary such agreements are, since by law, hospitals and ambulance services must already accept any patient who comes to them. I asked Governor Bevin, just how safe will Kentucky be if we lose all access to legal abortion within our state? On the eve of this important trial, with so much at stake for so many of us, I ask that we pray to whatever higher power you may identify with to give Judge Stivers wisdom, the wisdom to make this decision which truly advances the safety of Kentuckians. Thank you.
Is that why you brought
Is Edvis on here yet? Come on up.
Savkovich is a member of Kentucky's House of Representatives for the last 2 years, representing Louisville's 41st District. And that's all I gotta say.
Women's rights are human rights! 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 I am disgusted that I have to be here for the second time today, reclaiming the humanity of people of color and women. Governor Bevin, I'm here for the women of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I'm here with the women who reject and resist your attempt to take away our reproductive freedom and justice. Governor Bevin, you do not care one bit about the women of Kentucky when you attempt to close the only remaining abortion clinic in the Commonwealth. Actually, Governor Bevin, you don't care about the women of Kentucky when you cannot find your way to reform our pensions without hurting the people who have worked so hard to deserve a pension. Governor Bevin, you don't care about the women of Kentucky when you support Blue Lives Matter, knowing that women of color are on the front lines of these marches and rallies and protests against police violence. So I don't want to hear the governor claim that he cares about women, not when he says to a mother whose 7-year-old son was shot and killed that the answer to his death is to walk around the block and pray. As a black woman and as a mother, I demand that our dignity and our human rights are respected by the person who has claimed the position of governor for a temporary amount of time here in Kentucky. I stand with the women, including black women and transgender women and other women of color, who know that what is happening with trying to close the EMW is about men's power, domination, and control over our bodies. We will not be moved, and I will continue to stand with my colleagues like Representative Mary Lou Marzian, who is here, and Representative Joni Jenkins and Mackenzie Cantrell from Jefferson County. I want you to know that you have fighters in Frankfort, and together we will continue to reject and resist. Resist, 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 resist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's a good point. I just got asked, what about the men who are here supporting women? They're all for it. Abortion affects all of us, and abortion access affects all of us, and we are very glad to see all of you of whatever gender here, all genders here. Leah, who we got next up?
Hailee, if she's here. Hailee, are you here? No, Hailee?
We'll come back to Hailee later.
She might make it. So next we have Joni Jenkins. She's not here yet. Nope.
Okay, have a
Skip on down to
Mary Lou.
All right,
Mary Lou Marzian.
Thank you. Attica's a hard act to follow. She had your first session. It was an eye-opener, but boy did she hit home runs and get up and speak for the people of Kentucky. She took out an anti-choice, anti-gay fellow Democrat, which I was happy to pack his boxes. But thank you, men and women of Kentucky. We've got to do a lot more than rally. Governor Bevin got elected with only 30% of people voting. 30%. He won by a few percentage points, but we sat on our butts and we didn't get out to the polls because Jack Conway was kind of boring. Yeah, he was. But look what we've got. They have bashed unions, they have bashed women, and Attica's absolutely right. 75% of the Kentucky women workers getting pensions are women workers, teachers, nurses, secretaries, cafeteria workers. They're the ones that are going to be hurt. So before we pat ourselves on the back and say what a great rally this is, and it is, and I hate to have to be doing it in 2017. I thought we were done with all this. But it's so great to see so many new faces that I've never seen before and so many young people. But I want everybody to look inside themselves, look at their friends, make sure they get out and vote for pro-choice candidates, but also think about running for office. Think about running. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be a legislator. Look up there and look at those idiots running the state. My 8-year-old granddaughter could do a better job. I'm not kidding. So think about running. We've got lots of groups starting up. Kentucky United, Kentucky Initiative, Pantsuit Nation. I'm probably forgetting one, but please look at yourselves and think, hey, I can do that. And if you think you can, call me, call Attica, call Joni. For one of the first times in history, we had the majority of the Jefferson County Democrats voting pro-choice. Men and women. We had talkers. We had Steve Rickles, we had Jim Wayne, we had Jeff Donahue, we had Reggie Meeks, Dara Owens. I can't think of who else off the top of my head. Jeff voted pro-choice this time around. So we had, out of 13 Democrats, we had about 11 of them voting pro-choice. We've got 4 Republican seats in Jefferson County we need to take back. There's no reason we can't do it with help, with candidates, with money. The Koch brothers spent $10 million to do this to you. $10 million. So if you can reach into your pockets, donate to candidates, that's what we need. Thank you all for being here. And I'm getting tired. We gotta stop this. We gotta get it right. And Leah, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You want to run for office? Okay, good.
Marcie. Marcie Crim. Marcie is the Executive Director for Kentucky Health Justice Network, who also was a co-sponsor of this rally. And I'm sure she's got lots of good things to say.
Let's hope so. All right, thank you, Leah. Thank you. All right, there we go. All right, y'all, by a show of hands, how many people know someone who has had an abortion? I want to see all those hands up, because even if you don't know it, someone you love has had an abortion. They just haven't told you that because they think they're supposed to be ashamed of that. And that's something we need to stop doing. We need to start saying, hey, I've had an abortion. By the way, hey, I have had an abortion. All right? I'm not ashamed of that. I feel very blessed that I was able to make that choice, and I was able to make that choice that was the best for me and the best for the daughter that I was already raising when I was a single mom. And she's here today. So, you know what? My abortion benefited me in my life, and I was able to have a career I wouldn't have had otherwise. And also, you know, it enabled me to be a single mom to a young daughter and to not have to split those resources. So I am blessed. I'm blessed that in Kentucky it was legal to get an abortion, and I got it in Lexington because that clinic was still open. But you know what? Right now, even so, we don't want them to shut down this clinic, right? Like, we really don't want them to shut down this clinic. It is already really hard to get an abortion in Kentucky. At Kentucky Health Justice Network, we help people pay for abortions. We also transport them from all over Kentucky to get abortions. And we know how hard it is to get an abortion in Kentucky. If you live in Harlan County, if you live in Hopkinsville, if you live in Bowling Green, it's really hard to get an abortion in Kentucky. And it's only going to get harder if they shut down our only clinic tomorrow morning. But we're not going to let them do that. You know why? Because we all vote here. Don't we vote? I vote. When they threatened to shut down the clinic, and they were going to shut it down April 3rd, we held a rally in front of the clinic on April 2nd. 300 people showed up. 300 people. And we're like, no, you're not shutting down the damn clinic. Judge Styrus granted a stay. The clinic has been open. Because it takes all of us talking about this and saying, no, this matters to us, and we vote. And that is the most important thing we can do, is vote for pro-choice candidates, vote for people who really look at what is happening in Kentucky and the need, and they vote for that. And that means LGBTQ folks, folks of color, immigrants. We are all united in this, And I want to say that so many of us, when we talk about abortion, we are constantly just saying women, women, women. Folks of all genders get abortions, and we want to make sure that our language doesn't exclude anybody, because we're all included in this. One out of three people who can get pregnant have an abortion by the time they're 45, right? So we want to make sure Kentuckians are not having to do that on their own or having to go out of state, which is really, really challenging. So we're here today. We're here to say, no, this matters. We're going to keep our clinic. And let's have some more clinics, y'all. In 1978, we had 17 abortion providers in this state. In 1978. We need more, not less. And I want y'all to do something with me right now, because we're going to send a message. And that message is that we vote. So let's just say it a few times really loudly. We vote! We vote! We vote! We vote! Hell yeah, we vote! Yes, thank you very much.
He scared of all the noise.
Oh, he's scared of all the noise.
where to go. I don't think Hailee or Joni are here, so have you got anything else to say?
I do want to say that Joni Jenkins had planned to be here, but did tell me she had another meeting before this and knew she would be late. So, looks like she's just a bit too late. Her meeting ran on longer than it could have. Fran.
No, I don't want to speak. I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you going to speak? No. Are you encouraging people to come to the trial or not?
I'm not doing anything, but I plan to attend the trial myself.
Is there space?
There will be limited gallery space. Oh, good. Hailee is here. So I think that's up to the individual if they want to try to go. I think it's going to be a fascinating trial myself. It's supposed to run 3 days. It starts tomorrow morning. I'm planning to get here about 7:30.
Where is it?
Right in this federal courthouse. One of our other speakers has shown up. This is Hailee. Hailee, glad to meet you. Come on up and have a microphone. Okay, I've never used a microphone before in my life.
You're doing great.
And I'm going to read a poem that I wrote. It's called We Are Standing Here for You.
You can bring your breakfast, bring your lunch. Move it in.
We are standing here for you. For the ones whose birth control failed, we're standing here for you. For the one who is just not ready, we're standing here for you. For the victims of sexual crimes who choose abortion, we are standing here for you. For the one who's had 3 abortions and is going in for her 4th tomorrow, we're standing here for you. For the one who desperately wanted their baby, but something has gone horribly wrong, we are standing here for you. For the one who has always said she was pro-life, but has an appointment today that she thought she would never be in the position to make, we're standing here for you. For all those who have died from back alley abortions, we're standing here for you. For the ones who choose to carry out their pregnancies, we are standing here for you. For the teenager who is terrified to tell their parents, we're standing here for you. For the ones not mentally or physically well enough to carry out pregnancy, we're standing here for you. For those who are trying to take our access away, we are standing here for you. For the mom who just cannot go through another pregnancy, we're standing here for you. For the ones who need abortion to escape their abuser, we are standing here for you. For our mothers, our grandmothers, and our great-grandmothers who did not have access to abortion, we are standing here for you. And likewise for our children, for our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, we are standing here for you. For our women, for our trans men, for our non-binary family, for our sisters, for our wives, mothers, aunts, nieces, cousins, for ourselves, for every single person who needs access to abortion, and even those who do not, we are standing here for you. For the ones who are too afraid to speak up, we are standing here for you. For the ones who cannot speak up, we're standing here for you. Thank you, Hailee. I just got a reminder from a lawyer here that if you do plan to try to come to the trial, be sure to bring a photo ID. That will be required. I think we've run out of speakers, so this is going to conclude it, but let me just say I have a petition here, if you haven't signed it yet, asking for a safety zone outside EMW, so our patient, or maybe even if you have already, look up who is your city council person, your metro council person, contact them and say, I support a safety zone outside EMW, because they need to hear from us. There are Metro Council people are a little shy on this issue. They're afraid they're going to get tarred with that awful word abortion. They need to hear that this is about safety for patients, for companions, for protesters and escorts, and people that just walk down the sidewalk. The entrance to the clinic right now is a tinderbox as people crowd around the entrance trying to get in, and we need the kind of zone of a little bit of breathing room around the entrance that we had during the week that OSA was here, when we had federal marshals enforcing that. I'm sure most of you know about that. So that's your piece of activism, is go home and contact your Metro Council person about the safety zone and make sure you're on my flyer. In terms of how the trial comes out, stay tuned. I am guardedly optimistic that this judge will have good sense and do what's best for the safety of people of Kentucky. If he should shut down our last abortion clinic, you have not heard the last of any of us, right?